Hi, it's Dr. Craig Malkin, a clinical psychologist and lecturer for Harvard Medical School. I'm also the author of Rethinking Narcissism, which is devoted to helping you understand and cope with narcissism in all its forms and all your relationships. Today, I'm going to talk about the dark triad, dark personalities, and the question, are dark personalities more attractive? Interesting one that actually has come up a lot. People who describe their encounters with somebody with a more dark personality and their experiences that they're often super attractive people. If you like my videos, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe by turning the notification bell on. Dark personalities, if you don't already know this, just to give a brief review, include the dark tetrad of traits. And usually we talk about the dark triad, and this research that I'm going to talk about today is around the dark triad. But the dark tetrad is narcissism, which you can think of as a drive to feel special, exceptional, or unique. That kind of covers all the forms of narcissism. Psychopathy, which you want to think of as a cold, remorseless, manipulative approach to life, the world, and relationships. And machiavellianism, which is also called planful, manipulative, chess-playing approach to life and experience and relationships. These are people who are very careful and very intentional about how they go about making sure that they're in control. That's Machiavellianism. You put those three together and you have the dark triad personality. If you add the fourth, which is recently getting attention in the research, it's sadism, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking pleasure in hurting others and causing them pain. But again, most of the research that is on the dark personality centers on the dark triad. And this research in particular today was geared towards understanding, why is it that a lot of times these dark personalities, extremely narcissistic people, psychopathic people, Machiavellian people, also seem to be particularly attractive or appealing. What's fascinating about it is that very often when this research has been done, just sort of objectively rating how attractive somebody is, it does turn out again and again that the dark personalities are more attractive. But it turns out that if you take a closer look, things kind of fall apart. The reason that people with dark personalities tend to be more attractive, they're very good at looking appealing. They engage in something that's called effective adornment. Simply put, they're so focused on their outward appearance and image that they're really practiced at it. They can really put themselves together. This, similar to other things that I've shared with you across my videos, is not a bad thing. We could all use that skill of cleaning up nicely. It's just that people who are particularly possessed of these traits, narcissism, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, are really good at it. And there's some suggestion actually that they put themselves together in an expert way to be as attractive as possible, precisely so they can pull people in. There's no clear indicator of that in the research, but that is the assumption. So some clever researchers got together and they decided to look at, well, because there's also theories that somehow it's evolutionarily based, where these more manipulative people have some survival advantage, so the evolution has sort of geared them to be more attractive. So these very clever researchers got together and they wanted to look at that hypothesis, and what they did was they took pictures of people who were positive for these dark personality traits and people who weren't, and in one set of pictures, they were allowed to invest as much as they wanted to in sort of putting themselves together. And in others, the researchers directed them to put on gray athletic uniform. If they were women, they weren't allowed to have their hair down. They had to tie it up. And the men had to shave. So they really didn't have any particular adornment going on at all by the time these pictures were taken. And then they had a panel of men and women look at these pictures and rate them on attractiveness. And it turns out that, yes, the dark personality trait people were rated as objectively more attractive. That was a consistent and strong trend, unless they had to put on the the gray athletic uniform, and they weren't allowed to wear makeup, and they had to shave, and they couldn't have their hair down if they were women, if they weren't allowed to do all those things, they weren't rated as any more physically attractive than the people who didn't have those dark personality traits. So the conclusion of the researchers was that the effect of this kind of appealing, charismatic attractiveness of dark personalities has everything to do with effective adornment. What's the take home from this? To me, there's sort of a layer of hope that we can find in this, and that is, as I mentioned earlier, we all really need this skill. We should be able to work on and practice in some way, cleaning ourselves up. And I found it was actually pretty encouraging to realize that people with dark personalities aren't sort of inherently more attractive. They just are more skilled at doing this, because we can all learn that skill. And it's a nice thing to be able to do when you're dating and you're putting yourself out there. And I think it probably adds to a feeling of confidence. But I think there's also another piece that we can take out of this, that if you're wanting to look past the allure of these personalities and not get drawn in early on in a relationship before you're really realizing who you're with, you could try to mix it up a little bit, where maybe sometimes you go on a running date, or sometimes you go to the beach, go swimming, do something where it's a lot harder to put all these things together in presenting ourselves this way, where you get kind of a range of experience. Not that you want to see somebody that you're dating at their worst, but it's kind of nice to have this experience where everybody is a little bit more down to earth and you're not always wrapped up in how to effectively adorn yourself. And just to see how you feel then. Maybe it frees you up to be aware too of other aspects of interaction and relationship, like, is this person kind? Do they listen to my feelings? I mean, there is that feeling sometimes that we're a little bit blinded by somebody who's like drop dead gorgeous, and it's nice to have an experience where that screen for our other clearer perceptions isn't there, and it can be removed. So I think that's a very interesting implication of the research. I hope you found that helpful. If you do, please like it and comment so I can build on it in the conversation, as I have been across these videos, and I look forward to sharing with you more.